Transition, the process of change from one condition to another.
We are now at a new crossroad where change is evident once again.
What does not serve us must transform us anew.
Returning to our original state of oneness and true nature of that which created who we truly are.
Confusion was the way of the past. Enlightenment is the way of the now and future, shedding away the layers of deceit.
We now bring you the transformation of the two who started as one. Our fearless planet never stands still.
Earth has been in a process of transition, and we are not exempt from this remarkable ongoing reality.
Welcome to Transition Radio.
What if the most powerful system in the world once fit inside a filing cabinet, before the cloud, before surveillance capitalism, before algorithms decided what you see, buy, or believe? There was paper, there were folders, there was a building in Washington, D.C. that quietly held the machinery of the modern state. In this episode, we trace the moment the government learned how to count, categorize, and coordinate millions of people at once. World War II didn't just change geopolitics, it changed the appetite for information. For the first time in history, power began to run on total data. The hunger for total information was born. This is the story of how bureaucracy became a machine, and how the speed of mail once protected your freedom. If you care about privacy, power, and how we got here, watch The Paper Cage now. Before surveillance was digital, it was mechanical, and it had a speed limit. Discover how we went from mailed folders to real-time monitoring, and why that shifted everything. Watch now.
And welcome to Transition Radio Show. My name is Mark Angelo.
And my name is Lena Ariel. And we wanted to thank you guys for joining us tonight from wherever you are in the world and whatever you're doing. Thank you for joining us.
And we're coming to you live from New Mexico. Little windy New Mexico, but
super windy. It knocked over all of our chairs outside, the hammocks that we haven't laid in yet.
I know. But, the weather's pretty bad in California. I mean, there's really a lot of issues going on. A lot of snow, a lot of tragedies and stuff. That, was it 8 or 9 hikers?
Backcountry skiers, an avalanche.
Yeah, pretty sad.
Worst accident in 44 years.
Yeah, totally crazy stuff. But hope you guys are staying safe with all the craziness in the world. You can't keep up anymore. You get to the point where it's just like...
Yeah, it's like something's happening all over the world except for here with our guy.
Yeah.
With regards to like what's taking place. Yeah. It's funny, how that works. The guy that's the most guilty...
Yeah. Well, that kind of tells you America, or the United States, because I don't want to say America. America's big and it's got a lot of great countries, but the United States, a little iffy in our,
We're too busy going to war right now with other countries that we have no business.
Or taking things from people
making concentration camps, for people like, I don't know, maybe us.
Who knows?
They have incinerators too, I hear. In those camps.
Yeah, they do. That's what they're talking about. Crazy stuff. I mean, it's just, and I was seeing something today, children crying in containers that were being shipped.
Oh, that's weird.
It's, I just, you just can't keep up anymore. Well, there's a sound that is heard, a sound in 1947 in a federal record office. It's the sound of the world's most boring cage. People think the state is this abstract ghost, but in the 1940s, the state was a 3-story building in D.C. filled with girls from Virginia typing your name onto a card. If that building burned down, you were a free man. You were off the grid before the grid even had a name.
I wonder if they were the same operator girls that used to...
One dicky, what is it?
Yeah.
Operator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
let me connect you.
Yeah.
And they literally took a cord and they would plug it into a hole.
Yep.
It's a physical reality we can't even wrap our heads around now. We live in the era of the cloud, where data is atmospheric. It's everywhere and nowhere. But back then, if you wanted to track a man's movement from New York to Chicago, you literally had to mail a physical folder. He had to wait for the train. There was a lag time in the bureaucracy that acted as a natural shield for human liberty. The administrative state had a speed limit, and that speed limit was the Postal Service. And that was interesting because we grew up in an age where that was still viable.
Yeah, now they call it snail mail, but that's what we had. But the war changed the appetite. We developed a hunger for total information. You look at the logistics of the Manhattan Project or the Normandy landings that required a level of human accounting that had never been seen in history. We learned how to treat 3 million men like a single machine. We learned how to feed them, clothe them, and move them across ocean using nothing but math and middle management. And when the war ended, the man in charge of that math didn't just go home and forgot how to do it. They looked at the American civilian population and saw a new set of variables to solve.
That is the secret origin nobody wants to talk about. We didn't just defeat authoritarianism abroad. We imported its logistical spine. We decided that efficiency was the highest moral good. If it's efficient to know where every bag of flour is, it must be efficient to know where every citizen is. We started applying the logic of the supply chain to the very soul of the country.
Let's talk about 1954, the Social Security Act expansion. On the surface, it's the ultimate act of care. We're going to make sure you don't starve when you're 80. We could be against that. But look at the fine print of the implementation. To care for you, the state has to identify you. To identify you, they need a unique identifier, a number that follows you from the first paycheck to the grave. We traded our anonymity for a safety net, not realizing the net was actually a fence. I remember when I was in the military, I had to memorize my Social Security because you weren't you were that number. And
So
to this day,
in 1954, it wasn't like, some people think of like a birth certificate and a Social Security card as one and the same or something. But obviously they're different.
They are.
But you find it in 1954 is when the Social Security Administration started collecting your name.
And I think the birth certificate was in the 30-something or 40-something.
No, it was like it was in the 20s or something like that, right?
No,
It was
1935, I think it was near that nature. But it was like telling the corporation that
but this is different because
born.
this is a Social Security, which was supposed to be introduced to help you in the future.
But it was really meant
it was actually meant to track you.
Yeah.
And the fence was built by the census. And we know how people love the census.
Oh, yes.
Look at the 1950 census. It was the very first one to truly utilize the UNIVAC 1. Who knows about the Commodore 64 or the Apple computer or the UNIVAC 1? I never heard of it. The first commercial computer before the UNIVAC counting the country took years. By the time they finished the math, the people they counted were already 3 years older, moved or dead. The data was always stale, but the computer promised a real-time state. It promised a map that stayed current. And one of the things that comes to mind is IBM. And I had heard that IBM was the system that the Nazis used in order to catalog those that were in the concentration camps.
Yeah, IBM, definitely.
They used these tabulating computers, and that was like the first use of a computer for IBM.
Exactly. There's a memo from the Remington Rand Corporation to the Department of Commerce in 1951. It's chilling because it's so polite. They describe the American public as a dynamic resource, not people, not citizens, a resource. Like coal or timber. They argue that for the government to properly harvest the potential of the resource, they needed to understand its flow.
We did a show about resource,
Yeah, human
resources.
Yeah.
And this is just a little bit more in depth about that. Flow. Again, another water term.
Yeah.
Another show we've done.
Yeah.
That's the word they always use when they want to talk about control without sounding like a tyrant. You don't control water, you manage its flow.
Yeah.
You don't control a population, you manage its social dynamics. It's the sterilization of the language. It's how you convince a democratic people to accept a caller. You just call it a life management system.
Yeah. By the 1960s, the clacking of the typewriter was being replaced by the hum of the magnetic tape drive. This is where the administrative noir really begins. This is the era of the mainframe. IBM wasn't just selling computers, they were selling the ability to predict the future. If you can track 1 million people's spending habits, their health records, and their criminal history in a single database, you can start to see patterns before the people themselves even know they're forming them.
This is the birth of the aggregated citizen. The state stopped looking at you as an individual and started looking at you as a cluster of probabilities. If you live in this zip code and you have this income and you belong to this organization, the computer flags you as a 74% probability of quote unquote social friction. They didn't need to prove you committed a crime. They just needed to manage the probability that you just might.
And that reminds me of that movie that Tom Cruise did, Thought Police or Thought Crime or something like that. We see this in 1967 Task Force on Science and Technology. They released a report that basically said the Bill of Rights was an obstacle to modern administration. They argue that privacy was an 18th century concept that didn't work in the 20th century technological society. They weren't being mean-spirited, they were being forensic. They generally believed that for the government to work, the citizens had to be transparent.
Transparent to the state, but the state became opaque to the citizen. That's the double slit of the administrative state. They know everything about your bank account, but you try to get a straight answer about where your tax dollars are going in a black budget signals intelligence program, and suddenly the transparency, quote unquote, is a one-way mirror. You're standing in a room with a bright light in your face, and they're sitting in the dark with a clipboard.
Yeah, let's look at the 1968 riots. After MLK was assassinated, the cities burned. The administrative state didn't just respond with police, they responded with data. This was the launch of the Criminal Justice Information System. They realized that if they could link the fingerprints in Newark to the arrest records in Oakland, they could map the contagion of dissent. They treated political protests like a virus. Imagine what they're doing now.
And how do you treat a virus? You quarantine, you track the vectors, you monitor the carriers. We stopped being a country with political disagreements and started to be a biotic environment that needed to be sanitized. The administrative state became a clinical state. The policeman didn't go away. He just started taking orders from the data scientist.
Listen, this is declassified recording from a 1971 meeting of the Committee on Urban Data System. They are talking about the model cities programs. On the surface, it's about urban renewal, fixing the slums, building parks. But listen to how they describe the residents. They call them human assets in a high-stress grid.
High-stress grid. They were building a cage and calling it a neighborhood. They wanted to know if they changed the lighting in a park, did the social friction score go down? If they moved a bus stop, did the productivity index of the residents go up? It was a laboratory. We were the rats, or your parents were. And the administrative state was the guy in the white coat with the stopwatch.
And the stopwatch was getting faster. We moved from the monthly report to the weekly report. By the time we hit the early 70s, the Nixon administration was obsessed with a total integrated data system. They wanted one single terminal where the president could look up any American and see their entire life. IRS, FBI census, health, all of it.
And the only thing that stopped them was Watergate. Not because people grew a conscience, but because the man at the top got caught using the tools too clumsily. Watergate didn't kill the administrative state. It just taught it to be quieter. It taught it that if you want to watch everyone, you can't have a Nixon at the top. You need a system. You need an engine that runs itself so perfectly that it really doesn't matter who is in the White House.
The process became the president. The ledger became the law. By 1972, we had the first federal data center proposal. It was defeated in Congress because of privacy concerns. But that was a tactical retreat, not a surrender. They realized they didn't need a single big building in DC to hold the data. They could just decentralize it. They could put a piece of the puzzle in every agency, every bank, every hospital.
It's harder to fight a ghost than a building. If the data is everywhere, you can't burn the filing cabinet. You can't escape to Chicago because Chicago already has your tape from New York before you even get off the bus. The lag time was gone. The silence was gone. The era of the invisible citizen ended when I was 2 years old in 1972. From that point, you were always in the system, even when you were asleep.
Let's dive deeper into the credit shift. In the 1970s, we saw the birth of the Fair Credit Reporting Act. This is the first time private corporations were given the legal framework to act as an arm of the administrative state. The government didn't need to track your spending. They just let the banks do it and then subpoenaed the records. It's the outsourcing of oversight.
It's a brilliant move. If the government tracks you, it's tyranny, right? If a private company tracks you to help you get a loan, it's a service, just like Facebook. But the results are the same. Your life is condensed into a 3-digit score. That score determines where you can live, what you can drive, and whether or not you can be trusted. The credit score is the first social credit system, believe it or not. We just gave it a friendlier name.
And it's a score you can't argue with. You can't walk into a bank and explain that you're a good person. The human element is gone. The administrator in the beige shirt is gone, replaced by an algorithm that doesn't have ears. It just has inputs and outputs. If the output says denied, you are denied. There is no appeal to the machine.
This is the sterilization of tragedy. If you lose your job and you can't pay your bills, the machine doesn't see a tragedy. It sees a metric variance. It sees a downward trend in asset reliability. By stripping the humanity out of the data, the administrative state protects itself from the guilt of its own decisions. It's not evicting you, it's optimizing the housing grid.
We're looking at a 30-year span where we went from paper folders to the first digital ghost. In the 40s, the state followed you. In the 70s, the state preceded you. It was already there, waiting for you to show up so it could update your life.
And the scary part? We're still in the analog phase of this story. We haven't even gotten to the internet yet. We haven't gotten to the sensors. This was all done with magnetic tape and landlines. Imagine what happens when the state stops waiting for you to show up and starts living in your pocket.
That's the next chapter, the transition from the ledger to the pulse, from tracking what you did to tracking what you are. The dialogue continues, expanding on the 1974 Privacy Act loopholes and the emergence of the interagency intelligence sharing as a standard operating procedure. Let's look at 1974 Privacy Act. This was supposed to be the great shield. After the chaos of the 60s and the surveillance of the civil rights movement, Congress stepped in and said, no more. They told the agencies they couldn't share data without a routine use justification.
Routine use, right? That's the hole you could drive a tank through. Every lawyer in DC spent the next 5 years defining routine as whatever we feel like doing today. It turned the Privacy Act from a shield into a checklist for compliance. As long as the agency checked the box saying the data share was for administrative efficiency. Think about Doge.
Yeah.
Department of Government Efficiency. The privacy of the citizen was irrelevant.
It's a bureaucratic loophole. You don't break the law. You just redefine the words until the law doesn't apply to you. By 1978, the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, the FISA, arrived. Again, it was marketed as a way to limit the government. It created a secret court to oversee spying. But look at what it actually did. It institutionalized the idea that national security exists in a space where the Constitution doesn't quite reach. It created a legal shadow realm.
And the Trump administration knows all about shadow realms.
Yeah.
And once you have a shadow realm for foreigners, it's only a matter of time before you start finding foreign adjacent citizens to pull into it. The administrative state is an expansionist power. It's like a gas. It expands to fill every available cubic inch of legal space. If there's a gap between the FBI and the CIA, the administrative state will build a bridge across it and call it counterintelligence integration.
Yep. This brings us to the early 80s, the era of the database state. This is where the narrative shifts from monitoring to management. We started seeing the first automated welfare systems. In states like California and New York, they began data matching. They would take the list of people receiving food stamps and cross-reference it with the list of people with registered vehicles.
If you had a car that was, quote unquote, too nice for a poor person in a poor neighborhood, the computer flagged you for an audit. The machine was now making moral judgments based on cross-referenced data points. It didn't matter if the car was a gift or if you needed it for work. The data match said you were a variance. And in the administrative state, being a variance is the only sin that matters.
It's the poverty of privacy. If you're wealthy, you can afford to hide. You can set up trusts. You can have offshore accounts. You can hire lawyers to keep your name off the great map. You don't even have to pay your taxes like you know who. But if you're poor, you are the most documented human being on earth. Every meal you eat, every doctor you visit, every bus you take is a data point in a state ledger. The administrative state isn't a blanket. It's a net that catches a small fish while the shark swims through the holes.
Because the administrative state isn't interested in justice, it's interested in predictable outcomes. It's much easier to predict the behavior of a person who's dependent on a government check than it is to predict a billionaire. So the system focuses its clinical eye on the bottom 50% of the grid. It's social engineering disguised as social services.
And the engineering was getting more sophisticated. We started seeing the first automatic fingerprint identification system in the early 80s. Before the AFIS, matching a print took weeks of manual labor. After AFIS, it took minutes. The speed of the state was finally matching the speed of life.
This is the end of the human buffer. For thousands of years, there was a natural delay between an action and its consequence. That delay is where grace, quote unquote, lives. That delay is where mercy lives. But the administrative state hates delay. It wants instantaneous compliance. It wants the consequence to be as fast as the click of a button.
We're now standing on the precipice of the 1990s. The walls are up, the wires are laid. The administrative noir is no longer about secret agents in trench coats. It's about the silent hum of the server room. It's about the fact that you can't get a job, a house, or a bank account without first paying tribute to the digital ledger.
We think we're free because we can choose between 50 types of different cereals at the grocery store. But we can't choose to opt out of the identity grid. We can't choose to be unnumbered. The most fundamental human right, the right to be anonymous, the right to start over, has been administrated out of existence.
And we haven't even seen the internet yet. We haven't seen the pulse. That's where the control stops being something the state does to you and starts being something you do, well, to yourself. We are shifting from the era of magnetic tape and filling cabinets in the birth of the digital bloom and the hard pivot of the post 9/11 administration surge. The focus here is the transition from gathering data to living inside the data. Listen to the sounds, in 1994, that was a sound of freedom. We thought the internet was the ultimate escape hatch. We thought we were building a world where the state couldn't follow. Well, we were wrong. We weren't building an escape hatch. We were wiring our own houses with the most sophisticated surveillance infrastructure in human history. We did the installation for them, and we paid for the privilege. I remember when the TV went from analog to digital, and the thing was like, is there something? Because there was a little light in the TV, and it's like, are they watching us from these things?
I don't know about that, but I do know that when I did research, because I was really fascinated by the internet back in the day when it first started, with the little, before the graphical user interface and America Online, before all that even, there were these bulletin boards. And, they did a movie in 1984 called War Games, where Matthew Broderick is like this character that's like this little young teen hacker, and basically he was breaking into the servers at the United States Defense Department. And you come to realize when you do research on the internet itself, it was a system that was set up and intended for the use by the Department of Defense. That was what it was. So here we are using it. It was the Goldilocks zone of the administrative state. The 90s felt light. The Cold War was over. The end of history had arrived. It wasn't going to be the day after like we thought, right? No. And we were told that the government was reinventing itself. I mean, the wall fell in Germany, and the Soviet Union was dismantled. Al Gore was talking about national performance reviews and information superhighways. It sounded so optimistic. It sounded like the bureaucracy was finally going to be fast, and it was going to be user-friendly, like as a Macintosh computer.
User-friendly, quote unquote, is the most dangerous phrase in the English language. It's the velvet glove over the iron fist of the ledger. In the 90s, the administrative state realized it didn't need to be scary. It just needed to be convenient. Why carry a wallet full of cards when you can have a smart identity? Why go to the government office when you can sync your records online? Every sync was a new tether. Every convenience was a new data point for the great map. Like you got this Apple Wallet where you keep all your stuff, and it's like they have all your information.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have Google.
Yeah.
It links all your Gmail, all your
convenient.
All your files.
And our lazy asses go, yeah, it's convenient.
This is when the shadow profiles began. While we were busy browsing early web forums, administrative state was busy merging the private and the public. This is the era of the data broker. Companies like ChoicePoint started buying up every scrap of public record, deeds, marriages, traffic tickets, and selling them back to the government. The state found a way to bypass the Fourth Amendment. They didn't need a warrant to search your life if they could just buy your life from a third party.
It's a legal shell game. If the FBI spies on you, it's a scandal. If a private corporation aggregates you and then hands the report to the FBI for a fee, it's just a modern law enforcement. By 1996, the Illegal Immigration Reform of Immigrant Responsibility Act laid the groundwork for what would become E-Verify. It wasn't just about immigrants. It was about creating a federal gatekeeper for employment. For the first time, the right to work was tied to a digital yes-no from a server in DC.
The yes-no state. That's a dream of the administrator. They want to turn your life into a binary switch. If the light is green, you eat. If the light is red, you starve. And there is no human loop to hear you or your butt. In 90s, we saw the human clerks, the people in the beige shirts, get replaced by business logic. If the logic says you don't qualify for healthcare, the computer literally won't let the clerk click the button. The process became the absolute authority.
And then came 2001. The administrative state has been idling, waiting for a justification to go from background noise to total atmosphere. 9/11 was the big bang for the bureaucracy. Within weeks, the Patriot Act was signed. It wasn't just about wiretaps, it was about the Total Information Awareness Program, the TIA. Admiral Poindexter wanted to track every credit card purchase, every travel reservation, and every prescription drug order in America. I remember for one of my birthday, you ordered me a Cuban shirt.
Yeah, and it flagged it on PayPal, and it was like, this could be contraband. It's like, no, just a T-shirt that says Cuban boxing
or something. Yeah,
Congress officially killed TIA because the name was too scary. But you don't kill a project like that in the administrative state. You just break it up into 10 smaller pieces. Give them boring names like Mainway or Stellar Wind and hide them in the basement of the National Security Administration. They realized that total information was possible. And once a bureaucrat knows something's possible, they'll never stop until they have it.
This is the birth of the militarized street. We saw the administrative state start handing out surplus tanks and high-tech sensors to local police departments. I remember that.
Oh, yeah.
But the real militarization wasn't the hardware. It was the intelligence-led policing. We started using predictive modeling to decide which neighborhoods to patrol. We brought the logic of the kill chain from the battlefields of Iraq into the precincts of Chicago, and what we are seeing now with ICE.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's
Pre-crime. We joked about it, about the movies.
Yeah.
Like, you know, what was that one movie with Sandra Bullock with the thought police thing again?
Yeah. Demolition
Man.
Yeah.
But that's what the 2000s were all about. If the administrative state can predict a crime, they don't need to wait for a victim. They could just intervene. But how do you intervene against a probability? You do it through pressure. You make it harder for the targeted demographic to move, to work, to breathe. You tighten the grid until the variance is squeezed out.
So now is our song intermission.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. So what do we have today? Remembering the Sounds. This is a pretty cool song that I put together. Actually, I take a lot of my old poetry, and with Suno, it's really cool because you take poetry, you decide what you want to use as a chorus, if you even want to do that, and then you do all the
What's
magic.
a song but a poem, right?
Yeah, it is. It is, basically. I have a lot of those, a lot of poems that I'm just reviving from the past. So it's called Remembering the Sound. Guys, remember to hit that notification button, subscribe, share. If any of the shows that we have done resonates with you and kind of gets you thinking and a little bit more awakening, then please do so. And here we go.
My eyes are closed, but I can still see. I look around in the abyss and see the colors in front of me. I taste the hurt and the despair, the crying children everywhere. Oh, listen to your heartbeat, remembering the sound inside your mother's womb. The drums, those native sounds, they echo in the night. Remember them, they are from you. Abandoned our tribal ways. We have forgotten the truth these days. Too busy with the sin of death, hurrying, collecting trash. The more we buy, the less we have. Listen to your heartbeat, remembering the sound inside your mother's womb. The drums, those native sounds, they echo in the night. Remember them, they are from you. Silence, there is no silence. We create noise so as to not listen to our truth. chosen words, the robotic people of this world. What have you allowed yourself to be? Return to your true nature, be part of the land.
Feel your heartbeat, remembering the sound
Inside your mother's womb,
the drums, those native sounds.
they echo in the night.
Remember them, they are from you.
Taste the lies of the chosen words, the robotic people of this world. What have you allowed yourself to be? Return to your true nature, be part of the land.
Wake up,
Cut my family,
wake up.
it is time to return to our true path. Oh,
Wake up,
cut my family,
wake up.
it is time to return to our true path.
True words. Remember who you are. The mother cries, Mother Earth. We have become this robotic machine, soulless. And now with all the horrible news and all the desensitization that has been set in, we are less and less human. I
Isn't
believe.
it ironic that they're going to turn Zorro Ranch into a children's
goodness gracious.
retreat center for
It-
Christians?
It's like they're going to continue business as usual.
Oh my God.
You
And the
know.
guy who owns it, he looks like the biggest
Ooh,
pedo
I know,
you've ever
I know,
seen.
I know. It's crazy, crazy world. So listen to the hum. That's the sound of the 2000s. It's the sound of data centers growing like cancers in the deserts of Utah. We move from tracking terrorists to managing the population. The TSA wasn't just about planes, it was a behavioral laboratory. They were training millions of Americans to stand in line, take out their shoes and their belts, and accept body scans as a condition of movement. And are we any safer for it?
I remember the whole concept of like having to take your literal shoes off,
I know.
you know.
It's like, seriously?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a ritual of compliance. Every time you step into that scanner, and I remember some of my work colleagues were insistent about not going into the scanner. They said, I want a manual search, please, you know, and they would like be stepped aside and had to wait a little longer, but they were just refusing to participate. Every time you're acknowledging that your body belongs to the state, you're consenting to be seen in the most intimate way possible to quote unquote ensure safety. The administrative state discovered that if you use the word safety enough, you could get people to accept things that they would have caused a revolution back in 1776.
What was Trump's excuse for taking over Greenland? Oh, it's because of safety, because they're in the middle of whatever, and that's we need to take it because of safety. Everything's safety for your safety and your convenience. Meanwhile, you are taking more and more of your
ISIS
freedom.
for your safety.
Yeah, taking more and more of our freedoms away. By 2005, we have the Real ID Act. This was the national ID card. They've been trying to pass since the 70s. But they did it through the back door. And that's what they do all the time. They tell the states you don't have to follow our rules, but if you don't, your citizens can't fly or enter a federal building. It was a coarse cooperation. The federal administrative state absorbed the state level bureaucracies. The silos were finally gone.
This is the era of the deep integration. Your driver's license, your social security number, your bank account, and your digital footprint were all becoming one single identity string. And that string was being fed into the fusion centers. These are the places where the FBI, the local cops, the DHS, and private contractors all sit in one room and look at the same screen.
A fusion center is the physical manifestation of the great map. It's a place where the administrative noir loses its mystery and becomes a dashboard. You can click on a map of a city and see the heat maps of dissent movement clusters of suspected radicals and economic fragility scores for every block. The state stopped guessing. They started visualizing.
And the people being visualized, they were too busy posting their entire lives on MySpace and then Facebook, right?
Right.
That's the great irony. While the state was building the fusion centers, we were building the voluntary database. We started tagging ourselves. We started checking in. We gave the administrative state the one thing it could never quite get on its own, our internal state. They didn't just know where we were. They knew what we were even thinking.
This is the capture of the soul. The administrative state realized it didn't need to read your mail if it could read your status. By the time we hit 2008, the National Security Agency was harvesting billions of metadata records every day. Who you call, how long you talk, were you standing when you hung up? They argued that metadata isn't private. They argued that the envelope doesn't belong to you. It belongs, well, to the system.
But the envelope is everything. If you know who I talk to and where I go, you don't need to hear my words. You already know my life. The administrative state became a god of patterns. It doesn't care about your individual truth. It cares about your statistical significance. Are you an outlier? Are you a trendsetter? Are you a risk?
This leads us to the financial crisis of 2008. When the banks collapsed, the administrative state didn't punish them. It partnered with them. They realized that the financial system was the most effective social management tool ever invented. If you can control the flow of capital, you can control the flow of people. The bailout wasn't about saving the economy. It was about saving the ledger and owning the banks.
It was the ultimate administrative win. They proved that some entities are too big to fail. We heard that, which really means they're too integrated to be legal. The banks and the state became a single, seamless organism. Your credit score and your security clearance started to look more and more like the same thing.
We're now entering the modern era. The bloom is over. The garden is grown. Now we're just living in the shade of the trees we planted. The administrative state is no longer a department you visit. It's the operating system of your life.
And like any operating system, it has terms and conditions. We just never realized the condition was our existence. The dialogue shifts to the 2010s, focusing on biometric capture and the gamification of compliance through early smartphone apps.
Yeah, let's look at the biometric shift of 2010. Remember the first time you used a fingerprint to unlock a phone? You felt like James Bond. You felt secure. But where did that print go? Into a secure enclave? They told you, right? They told us that. It never leaves the device.
Until it does, or until the device is subpoenaed, or until the enclave is hacked. We started giving away our physical self, our fingerprints, our faces, our iris scans. We digitized our biology. The administrative state stopped needing to ask for your ID. They just needed to look at your gait on a street camera.
This is the final frontier of the administration. Tracking a name is hard. Names can be changed. Tracking a body is easy. Your DNA doesn't lie. Your retina doesn't have a private life. We moved into the era of biological persistence. Once the state has your biometric template, you are known forever. There's no starting over. There's no second chance.
It's the biological ledger. I know. We said we wouldn't use that word, but what else do you call it? It's a permanent record written in your own cells. In the 2010s, the administrative state began the DNA database expansion, not just for violent criminals, no, but for anyone arrested, for anyone encountered.
Do you remember Monsanto when they started genetically modifying seeds? Well, this kind of rings, like how Monsanto now owns every seed. The system is going to own every one of us because we are no longer an individual.
Not that they're going to.
They already do.
They already have.
Yeah, they already
That's
have.
the whole, that's the sinister part of this whole thing.
Totally is. And then came the apps. The 2010s were the decade of voluntary surveillance. We downloaded apps to track our fitness. We downloaded apps to track our sleep. We put smart speakers in our kitchens. We turned our homes into the integrated data environments. And every single ping from those devices was an invitation for the administrative state to come inside. And we're doing that now. I mean, we use AI for everything. We track our nutrition. I mean, it's like we're literally putting the nail in our coffins.
Yeah, I mean, I recently asked an AI that's free. So what is the most secure AI platform? And it was like, honestly, are you asking about privacy? Because
there is none.
we use certain things for testing and, basically it's not private.
Yeah.
Anything you put onto an AI system, if you put anything on there, it's not private. So it's like,
you're the guinea pigs.
Yeah.
We're the guinea pigs, and they're learning from us. And they're gathering every information to the point where they would probably trademark our existence. We belong to the...
Yeah, I mean, if you're wearing a watch that tracks fitness for your own like health needs that you're looking at, you also have to understand that by doing this, the government knows your heart rate right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Contact tracing. We saw the dry run for this with public health initiatives, quote unquote. They told us it was about managing outbreaks, and maybe it was, but it was also about mapping human interaction. It was about seeing who stands next to whom and for how long. The administrative state became a social architect. They started using nudge theory to change our behavior without us even knowing we were being nudged.
This is the soft power of the state. They don't need to arrest you if they can just derank you. If they can make it slightly harder for you to get a loan, slightly more expensive for you to get insurance, slightly more difficult for you to book a flight, all because your metadata suggests you are a high variance asset.
It's death by 1,000 data points.
Yep.
You don't even know what's happening. You just feel like the world is getting harder. You feel like the system is against you, but you can't point to a single person who is the enemy. The enemy is a decision engine running in a server farm in Virginia.
We move from the filing cabinets to the cloud, and from the cloud to the blood. The administrative state has finally achieved its goal. It is inseparable from the citizen.
So what's left? If the state is us, who is left to resist?
Well, that's the question for the next segment. The total integration, the pulse. The sound, right? That's not a machine. That's you. Or rather, it's the digital twin of you that lives in the federal cloud. In 2018, the transition was finalized. We moved from the point-in-time data, like a tax return or a census form, to a stream data. The state stopped asking you who you were once a year and started monitoring who you are every millisecond.
It's the quantified citizen. We were sold this idea through the lens of self-improvement. Track your steps, monitor your heart rate, optimize your sleep. We turned ourselves into a series of metrics because we wanted to be better. But in the hands of the administrative state, better has a very specific clinical definition. Better means predictable. Better means low maintenance.
This is the era of passive capture. You don't have to agree to anything anymore because the environment itself, it's its interface. We're talking about smart cities, where the pavement tracks your weight and the streetlights analyzes the stress level in your voice. In 2020, we saw the Public Health Emergency Act as the ultimate accelerator. It gave the administrative state the biological mandate. It was no longer about your rights. It was about the health of the body politics.
That's a powerful linguistic shift. If the population is a body, then a dissident is just a pathogen. And you don't argue with a pathogen, you sanitize it. We saw the rise of digital health passports. It was the first time in history that your ability to enter a grocery store or a workplace was tied to a live data feed from a medical database. Your participation in society became a subscription service that could be revoked in real time.
And as quickly as it came, as quickly as it left. 'Cause I
But it
remember,
left its marks.
yeah, I didn't do the thing that people were supposed to do because I refused. And, it was like a concern, well, am I going to be able to travel? Am I going to be able to do this, that, and the other? I just hung tight and I just refused, because you don't know what they could be putting in these things, right? I mean, I've learned a lot about nanotechnology and even like the stuff that flies that we think are in the clouds that are in the air. We don't know what they're putting there. And it's a pretty, scary stuff. And the subscription is managed by the process. There's no judge. There is no jury. There's just an API call between a private database and a government server. If the status comes back incomplete, the door doesn't open. The administrative state achieved the perfect border. Oh, a border that isn't at the edge of the country, but at the entrance of every building. You can literally be starved to death. You can literally not be able to have a home. I mean, it's just nefarious.
We need to talk about financial synchronization. This is the era of the CBDC, central bank digital currency. We're moving away from cash, not because it's inconvenient, because cash is silent. The penny is gone, right?
Mm-hmm.
Cash allows for unrecorded human interaction, like cash under the table.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, they would pay you if they didn't want you to have to deal with the tax man.
Right.
The administrative state cannot tolerate silence. They need the flow to be visible. With a digital currency, the policy can be written directly into the money.
Exactly. It's programmable currency. Imagine your tax refund. Only works if you spend it on approved categories or your travel budget. It's capped because your carbon score is too high this month. It's not prohibition, it's algorithm friction. They don't ban you from buying meat. They just make the transaction fail because you've reached your sustenance quota for the week.
It's control through inconvenience. Most people won't fight a revolution over a glitchy app. They'll just sigh, apologize, and buy the approved item instead. The administrative state has realized that hard tyranny creates hard resistance, but soft administration, a world of broken links and denied permissions, well, that just creates compliant fatigue. You get tired of fighting the process, so you just start self-optimizing to avoid the friction.
This is the gamification of obedience. We see it in social scoring prototypes being tested under the guise of trust frameworks. If you're a good citizen, if you pay your bills on time, if you keep your biometrics updated, if you don't post unverified information, your trust score goes up. And a high trust score gives you access.
And access is the new freedom. We don't have rights anymore. We have tiered access. If you're in the green tier, the world is beautiful. The smart city works for you. The doors open, the lights change. The administrative state is a concierge. But if you slip into the amber tier, the friction begins. The concierge, becomes a warden.
So listen to that throughput. We're talking about predictive policing 2.0. We're using AI decision engines to determine recidivism risk before a person is even released from a traffic stop. We're using sentiment analysis on social media to forecast social unrest. The state is no longer reacting to what happened. It's preempting what might happen.
Do you ever wonder why you don't see as many police on the street anymore?
Yeah, that's true.
It's like they're behind some kind of server or computer screen, or there's an AI that's looking at the nodes of the city and the town and seeing where the hot points are. And it's kind of diabolical.
Yeah.
But preemption is the death of free will. If the state knows you're going to be a problem, they treat you like a problem. And when you're treated like a problem, you eventually become one. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy written in code. The administrative state isn't just mapping the future, it's actually manufacturing it.
Let's look at the labor shift. The gig economy was the beta test for algorithmic management. Millions of people now take their orders from an app. They don't have a boss, they have a rating. If that rating drops, the job disappears. No HR department, no union, just a deactivation. Yep. The administrative state is taking this model and applying it to citizenship.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
You know, all these different online platforms like Instacart and, you know, whatever,
DoorDash,
Uber Eats and all that. If you worked for them, you know what that is.
Yeah.
You know what it is to be deactivated
Yeah.
by an AI just because they think that you did something wrong and you know you didn't.
Yeah. Or somebody reported something incorrectly.
And they lie.
And they lie because they want to get free stuff. Yeah.
Deactivatable citizenship. It's the ultimate noir nightmare. You wake up one morning and your digital ID is invalid. You can't start your car if you have a Tesla or a Mazda,
Yeah.
right? You can't pay for coffee. You can't unlock your front door. You haven't been arrested. You've just been unsynchronized. You still exist physically, but administratively, you've been deleted or erased.
And who do you call? There is no customer service for the state. You can't speak to a manager. When the manager is a machine learning model trained on aggregated defiance patterns, the administrative state has achieved total immunity through total complexity. The system is so complicated that no single human being actually understands how it works, which means no single human being can be held responsible for its failures. And that's always the government, though. It's always been that way. It's like you try to make a call and you get this machine and it doesn't really, it's just, yeah.
You know, I mean, the age of the dot matrix printer computer system that the government, old tax forms and the way they would send, you know, different forms and things like that is really outdated. But I'm not thinking that right now. I'm thinking that whatever Elon did when he came into Doge and then came into our government systems and started reworking them and tweaking them, we're in for something that we didn't even realize.
Oh, yeah.
It's the banality of the algorithm. 1,000 years ago, you could see the king, you could see the executioner. Today, the executioner is a timed out request. The noose is a frozen account. Remember when in Canada, somebody was trying to get some money or something?
Those are the truckers were protesting and people were giving them
giving money on
some sort of GoFundMe.
Gifts and Go or, and they
froze the accounts. Yeah.
The noose is a frozen account. We've sterilized the power of the state so effectively that we don't even recognize it as power anymore. We just think of it as tech issues.
We're entering the post-truth administration. In the 2020s, the state became the arbiter of reality. Through partnerships with social media platforms, the administrative state began managing the information environment. They decided what was misinformation and what was safety. They didn't censor you. They just de-amplified you. They shadow ban you, your dissent. And that, you know, we've seen that. I mean, this channel, once upon a time, used to get a lot of traction, a lot of views, and we've been shadow banned.
Absolutely. And it's like they don't really tell you.
No.
You don't know what's happening. And this word, misinformation, I think all of a sudden this word just became a part of our everyday vocabulary. Disinformation, misinformation. Remember, like around
Fake
2020 during COVID, it was like, oh, you don't want to believe the misinformation that's being spread out there. And it's like, I never even had heard of that word being utilized until 2020.
And to like have it change, because back then many videos, I got a bunch of my videos taken down when I was talking about certain things.
They would call that misinformation, but it's actually truth.
Because they don't want you to know the truth. So and you see TikTok now that has been bought over by some
Paramount or
conservative, whatever. It's crazy.
So you have like this system that literally is just squeezing the life out of your identity
Oh, totally.
whenever they feel like it.
Mhm.
It's quiet control.
Totally.
If a tree falls in the forest and the algorithm hides the video, did it even make a sound? If a citizen protests the administrative state and their trust score prevents the post from being seen by more than 3 people, did the protest even happen? The administrative state has realized that it doesn't need to win the argument. It just needs to control the reach of the opponent.
This is a total integration of the individual into the infrastructure. We aren't users of the system, we are components of it. Our data powers the engines. Our compliance ensures the stability. We are the fuel for the machine that manages us.
And the machine is hungry.
Mhm.
It needs more granularity. It needs more fidelity. It's no longer enough to know where you are. It wants to know what you're feeling.
Mm.
We see the rise of emotion recognition AI in public spaces. They want to know if you look frustrated at the security kiosk. They want to know if you look nervous at the bank.
Biological sincerity. The state wants to bypass your words and go straight to your autonomic nervous system. They want to know what your body says because your body can't lie to the censor. This is the final conquest. The administrative state has moved past the paper file, past the digital profile, and it's now mapping the soul. That is scary stuff.
We're not residents anymore, Mark.
No.
We're telemetry.
Yeah. Telemetry for a system that has no off switch. The dialogue continues, exploring the concept of inherited compliance, where children are born into a pre-integrated data state with their life path probability calculated before they even start school. Think about the legacy data. We're leaving for the next generation. A child born today doesn't start with a blank slate. They start with a predictive score based on their parents' compliance history, their genetic markers, and the socioeconomic stability of their birth grid.
Generational administration. We're encoding the administrative state into our lineage. We're predestining our children to either thrive in the green tier or struggle in the amber. The American dream of being whatever you want is being replaced by the administrative reality of being whatever the data suggests.
And the data suggests that stability is more important than liberty. The administrative state has made its closing argument. Give us your uncertainty and we will give you safety. Give us your privacy and we will give you efficiency. Give us your soul and we will give you a seamless experience.
And we are agreeing one update at a time, one check-in at a time, one sync at a time.
The invisible hand isn't a market anymore. It's a macro. It's a script. It's a process that never sleeps.
And it's waiting for you to actually log in.
Yeah. So the absolute absence of mechanical noise, just a faint digital thrum. We're here, 2026, the year the state stopped being a destination and became an atmosphere. We spent 80 years building the pipes, laying the wires, and syncing the database. Now the water's turned on. You don't interact with the administrative state anymore. You breathe it.
It's the post-bureaucratic world. In the old days, if you had a problem with the government, you went to an office. You talked to a person. Even if they were rude, they were human. They could be persuaded. They could feel pity. But today, the office is an encrypted handshake between your phone and a satellite. There is no one to talk to. There's no decision maker. There's only the result.
And the result is optimal. That's the world or the word they use to bury the bodies. If a neighborhood is deprioritized and infrastructure repair because the social value algorithm says the return on the investment is too low, that's just optimal resource allocation. If a person's access to high-speed rail is restricted because their civic contribution score dipped, that's just network balancing. We've turned injustice into optimization.
This is the end of the individual. To the administrative state of 2026, there is no Mark and there is no Lena. There is only node 774 and node 812. We are data packets in a social stream. The system doesn't care about our interior lives. It only cares about our exterior outputs. Are we producing? Are we consuming? Are we complying?
Let's look at the autonomous governance. We're starting to see AI legislation, programs that write dynamic regulations that change in real time based on live data. If the pollution sensor in a city hits a certain level, the tax code for every business in that zip code changes automatically. No debate, no vote, just a system update. The law is now a live feed.
It's ruled by macro, where we've moved from the politics, from policy, because politics is messy. Politics involves disagreement. The administrative state has decided that disagreement is inefficiency. So they've replaced the town hall with the dashboard. They show us pretty graphs and charts to prove that the system is working, and we're supposed to just accept the data.
But who curates the data? Who weights the variables? The administrative state has become a black box. They tell us it's objective, but every algorithm has the biases of its creator baked in. Only now those biases are enforced at the speed of light. If the algorithm thinks people like you are higher risk, then you are higher risk. You are guilty by association with your own metadata.
This is the digital ghetto. We're building invisible walls around unoptimized populations, quote unquote. If the system decides a certain demographic is non-productive, it doesn't oppress them with police, it just withdraws. The smart cars don't stop there. The delivery drones don't fly there. The high-speed internet throttles there. It's administrative segregation disguised as market dynamics.
And for those inside the green zones, the compliance is total because the rewards are addictive. Your house knows when you're tired and dims the light. Your health apps orders your supplements before you even feel a cough. You're cradled by the administrative state. It's a luxury cage. You're so comfortable that you don't even notice the bars are made of fiber optic cables.
The great trade. We traded our sovereignty for seamlessness. We decided that searching for a parking spot was too much friction, so we gave the city the power to track our cars. We decided that filling out a form was too much hassle, so we gave the state the power to read our bank accounts. Every hassle we optimized away was a right we surrendered.
We're seeing the rise of the biological interface. We're moving past wearables into embeddables, neural interfaces that sync your thoughts with the cloud. The administrative state is salivating at the prospect. Imagine a legal system that can sense a criminal intent before the muscle even moves. Imagine a tax system that adjusts based on your dopamine levels when you purchase a luxury item.
It's the total transparency of the human soul. The administrative state has finally achieved its goal. There is no secret left. There is no private space. Even your dreams are data. We have administrated the mystery out of existence. We are transparent to the machine, but the machine is indecipherable to us.
So you asked me to write a song the other day regarding certain Latin sayings and, certain proverbs, would be the word, that my father would always use. And your father used some of the proverbs too. I mean, it's just an old Latin way. There's just everything. Well, anyway, here's a song and it's called
Old folk sayings.
Yeah, old folk sayings. So mi papá decía, my father said. And here we go.
In life we think we know some room until you don't. You give your heart to then lose hope. The world goes round and round till it won't find the path of least resistance and give them room. Give them enough of it and they will hang themselves. It's the way of the world, my father said. Mi padre They smile and wave and stab your back. A friendly face, a hidden attack. The higher you climb, the harder you fall. Like Humpty Dumpty against the wall. Trust is a fragile thing, a whispered word, broken so easily, seldom heard. Mi papá decía, si no la hacen en la entrada, nace da la salida. My dad used to say, if they don't do it at the entrance, they'll do it at the exit. Más sabe el diablo, el viejo que por el diablo. The devil knows more from being old than from being the devil. Entre cielo y tierra no hay nada oculto. Between heaven and earth, nothing is hidden. So raise that glass to the fools we've known. The bridge is burned, the seeds we've sown. Oh, yeah. So raise a glass to the fools we've known. The bridge is burned, the seeds we've sown. Learn from the past, but don't look back. Keep moving forward, stay on the right track. For in this crazy world, one thing is true: what goes around comes back to you. Mi papá decía, si no lo hacen en la entrada, hacen a la salida. My dad used to say, if they don't do it at the entrance, they'll do it at the exit. Más sabe el diablo por viejo que por diablo. The devil knows more from being old than from being the devil. Entre cielo y tierra no hay nada oculto. Heaven and earth, nothing is hidden.
Lots of great proverbs and
Captured that
saying.
really well.
Yeah. It's a wonderful therapy, putting music and videos together, and thanks to Suno, it has really makes it a lot easier to do so. Anyway, so what is a human being in 2026? Are we citizens, or are we just biological hardware running state-approved software? We're built a system that can't function without us. If every human disappeared tomorrow, the administrative state would keep running. The servers would keep updating. The algorithms would keep optimizing.
It's a ghost ship,
Yeah.
a perfectly managed, high-efficiency ghost ship sailing into a data-driven sunset. We've organized ourselves out of the equation. The administrator in the beige shirt from the 1940s would be terrified. He wanted to count the people. He didn't want to replace them with probabilities.
We've reached the limit of administration. There's nothing left to track. There's nothing left to map. The great map is the world now. We are living inside the ledger. I know I used the word, but at this point, what's the difference? The ledger is reality.
I remember when privacy was just being alone. Now, being alone is a network error. It's a variance. It's a red flag. To be alone is to be unmanaged, and to be unmanaged is to be dangerous.
The process is complete. The state is stable. The population is synchronized. The future is forecasted.
Agree to the terms.
Agreeing.
Sinking.
We spend 10,000 words talking about control, but the truth is simpler. The administrative state isn't a conspiracy. It's an appetite. It's the appetite for certainty. We fear the unknown, so we build a machine to eliminate it.
But life is the unknown. Life is the variance. Life is the anomaly. By eliminating the unknown, we've eliminated the life. We've traded the chaos of freedom for the silence of the system.
The radio is silent now, not because we stopped talking, but because the audio has been optimized into silence.
Are you still there?
I'm in the green.
Me too.
Then everything's fine.
Everything is standard.
Good night, Note 812.
Good night, Note 774. Oh my
Crazy
God.
world.
I wish we
Yeah.
could present you with some kind of like,
Solution.
great solution at the end of this story, but it seems like we've
done it to
tied ourselves into this web.
We've done it to ourselves, right? We've like gave this way too much power. We've provided all the information they wanted. Machines now could literally copy every human that's alive and create a new life, a new universe without us. They could literally replace us.
All the people that you saw in the video aren't real that we've done.
All those
two
music,
videos.
yeah, music video. Even like right here, let me put this little quick little. That's all AI generated.
It is.
All AI generated. No real people. You give the AI a prompt, it creates a vignette, it creates a little clip. You want to do a music video, you put in the words, you put in all the stuff that you want, the sounds or whatever. Boom. In less than, gosh, I don't know, 20 minutes or so. By the time you it takes longer to like put stuff together, but it's not like what an old music video would take to put together.
No, those old days was like, you had to story form it and make sure that you had the location set.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the shots from that Spanish video that you did at the end has this guy walking in the dark nightscape and the street lights and the cameras rotating around him. That's like $1 million shot.
Yeah.
I mean, that wouldn't be an easy shot to set up.
No, that was like a really cool panning and panorama view.
Panorama, like a steady cam shot.
Yeah.
And going to Cuba. You could bring Cuba to you.
Too. Yeah. It's like, so we've done it to ourselves. It's all fun and games right now till it stops being fun and games. Till we start seeing like that one movie, Equilibrium, several movies. There was one that Sandra Bullock, not Demolition Man, was another one, Erased, I think it was called. Eraser or something like that. I mean, it's just a matter of time, especially for people that are not compliant with the system. I mean, for starters, we're trans. And two, we're anti the whole religious dogma thing. We're
already on.
I'm sure we're on many lists. Yeah.
It's like, it's one of those to be taken care of list,
Yeah.
And there's lots of people on YouTube that, they are like protesting against the government right now. They have their social media platforms, and they're even thinking like, wow, if they could come after Don Lemon, who am I?
Yeah.
I mean, if they're willing to sue Don Lemon, who has lots of money and has like the international prestige, who is like some smaller entity going to do when they come for you, Yeah,
and anybody that speaks up, what was that guy that we were watching the other day that some attorneys reach out to him because he's got a big platform and he had some sort of the persons that are investigating the DOJ on and they were talking about the trafficking, whatever. And the attorneys literally are threatening him with suing him if he doesn't remove that segment of his interview or something.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm not doing it. I'm not standing for any of the PEDOs. I'm against it.
Yeah, it was actually a Christian camp that was mentioned in one of his shows. It was Sean Ryan. He's a major right-wing conservative guy who even had on Donald Trump,
Yeah.
at one point.
And I think he's changed his politics. Yeah.
Because, he's a former, ex-military,
Yeah.
served and a soldier and everything, and thought he was doing the right thing for America by bringing this regime into power. And he realizes now, maybe it wasn't a good idea.
Just like Joe Rogan, he's also kind of like, oops, I think I blew it. A lot of people are realizing it,
But it seems like it's too late.
Yeah.
Because, this president will stop at nothing to get his way. And mark my words, don't think it's going to be a walk in the park in November when we come around to midterms. They're going to create, once Zelensky told him that all he had to do was create a war and he could stay in power, he's like, oh, really? That's all I have to do? Create a fake war? Oh, I do that all the time.
Yeah.
So, he may want to invade Greenland again.
Yeah, who knows?
Say he has presidential powers because the Inuits want to attack us or something.
Yeah, who knows? We're just, I'm at the point where learn helplessness type of thing. Like nothing shocks me anymore.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Well, their idea is flood the zone with shit. That's what they said.
Yeah.
And that's what they're doing.
Exactly.
They're flooding the zone every day, something new, every day, another scandal, every day, another crazy thing, just wait for the president. Last week was Obama and Michelle, and, here we have now, another thing going on. It's like,
and as we
Pam Bondi last week,
continue to learn the atrocities of not just the sex trafficking, which is bad enough, but dead bodies being buried and rituals and Hunger Game types of things. People don't realize the kind of world that we're living in. We've been like sheltered children, not realizing how evil this world is.
Not realizing those catacombs don't have a bunch of bones and stuff arranged in some, artistic pattern for no reason.
Yeah.
And this is all over the world.
Yeah.
You have these sarcophaguses, that they're like underneath like cathedrals and stuff. And here in the United States and in Europe and all around the world.
We're in for a massive rude awakening. And if you're the type of person that can't handle things, you better do something to protect your psyche, because it's going to get pretty devastating.
Yeah. AI is coming down the pike faster than you can blink, because, these learning models are changing not just every year, but every day. They're updating and they're actually teaching each other. And they're actually, I even heard that they have a separate groups
I know
that gather
they're just AIs
that are just AIs that don't allow humans to interact with them.
As the AI
there's
Facebook or something.
If you think humans can do devastating things, just wait till some superhuman, intelligence that's smarter than all of us put together actually starts to take take over.
Yeah. That's scary
I don't know.
stuff.
It's a crazy world.
Not, we hate to be doom and gloom, but just turn on your TV every day and you'll see some crazy stuff every day.
Those guys in the AI platforms, they're just like, they're scared. They're like, oh my God, if we don't do something, this is going to be terrible for our civilization. And they're like, the days before the whole thing happened in February 2020, when they said about the pandemic and stuff, and people were like, oh, that's just on a cruise ship. Oh, that's in China. That's at a wet market. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, boom, it hit. You know, it was like,
I was phase 2 or phase 3. We're heading to phase 4 because that's how the elites function. They give us little things. They see how we can handle things.
Yeah, but I think AI is the thing that even the elites don't even have a clue of what they're doing.
Yeah.
I think that's going to take the human element out of it.
Well, all we can do is wait and see.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. We get to live it.
Yeah, we're living like in the back here, this Mr. See It All control system. Yeah. Pretty messed up. Anyway,
Yes.
guys.
Hopefully, we'll have a better show, more positive,
on
something
Tuesday.
about being enlightened and
Yeah.
awakened. I think we have something about the Truman Show,
Yeah.
and something else about our real. What was it? What was it we were watching this morning about on YouTube? It was something about
I forgot.
not being a part of the
System and not allowing the
because
archons.
the system can take place,
the
but if you
archons control
choose-
your minds.
but
And
if you choose not to be a part of it, they don't have anything to leech off of.
well, if you stop allowing your ego to dictate your identity, and it's all about you, and but most people won't do that. So, yeah.
Anyway, we can offer hope.
Yeah, we can. All right, guys, we love you. Have a great weekend. We'll catch you Tuesday. We love you, but remember to always love yourselves too. Good night. Be well and stay safe as always.
Another journey's end, but the path is ever bright. Transition radio's call, guiding us through the night. Truth and healing's found, let the spirit take flight. Carry the light and make it
Join us next time for more stories untold.
Transition radio.